viewers, welcome back once again to my channel. I am still Tochi Worker for TochiBet, the key to your real estate investment here in Nigeria and the site manager of Bros Global Housing Estate. Today, we want to look at a very critical topic when it comes to real estate investment in Nigeria. What we want to look at today is important land documents that you need to know as a realtor, that you need to know as an investor, as a homeowner, as a home buyer, or whatever you are, even as a real estate consultant in Nigeria. Now, it is good to know that before the 1978 Land Use Act, that the land administration in Nigeria were in the hands of traditional rulers. But during the military regime of Olusegun Obasanjo, he unified land use in Nigeria, which now gave birth to Land Use Act of 1978. This Land Use Act abolished all land tenure arrangements within the country, among other things. But most importantly, it also gave Nigerians the right to possess or to own property within any part of the country, provided the transaction is done in the right. Now, before we go further, let us look at the Land Use Act of that 1978, which states that all land belongs to the governor of every state, including your ancestral homeland. Now, we want to look at the land classifications in Nigeria. Land classifications in Nigeria. Now, land is classified into two parts in Nigeria. We have the free land and we have the acquired land. Now, what is free land? Free lands are parcels of lands that the government have not indicated interest in whatsoever. What it means is that government have not marked out this particular land for any form of developmental or infrastructural use. Such land can now be registered or have a registered title without issues. In most cases, such land can either now be in a government gazette or have a CFO or governor's consent. Now, the acquired land. Acquired lands are lands that has been indicated, has been mapped out for government projects. They are lands that the government have indicated interest in. These are lands that government have indicated interest. We have two types of acquired land. We have the committed acquisition. We also have the global, or what is called general acquisition. The committed acquisition and the global or general acquisition. Now, what is committed acquisition? Committed acquisitions are lands and properties that the government has mapped out for a particular project. These lands, government has mapped them out for a particular project. This kind of land cannot be bought. It cannot be registered. It cannot be transferred back to the ancestral homes. Such land are no-go areas. It is a no-go area. The government has set aside parcel of land for a particular project, such as schools, such as airports, such as markets, road, hospitals, etc. The development of such property may not be immediate, but the government will certainly come back to take their possession. Now, you can know about this committed acquisition at the Ministry of Lands in whatever state you are in within the country. Now, global acquisition. This is the type of acquisition where the land has been mapped out by the government, but there is no specific need or project that has been marked on that land. What it means is that the land can actually be transferred back to the ancestral community that owned the land initially as a free land, and that community can also go and register such land. The process of this conversion is what is called excision. Now, what is excision? Excision simply means cutting out a portion of land from government acquired general acquisition in order to go register that portion of land to become available for the public to buy. So, excision is one of the land documents we have here in Nigeria. It means taking a part from the whole, and that part that has been taken will be recorded and documented in an official government gazette of the state. Now, having seen the classification of land here in Nigeria, let us now look at land documents we have here in Nigeria. Now we're going to look at 5 different types of land titles here in Nigeria. Number 1, deed of assignment. Number 2, the gazette. Number 3, excision. Number 4, certificate of occupancy, that is known as a CFO. And number 5, the governor's consent. Now, deed of assignment. A deed of assignment is simply an agreement showing evidence that the seller has transferred all his rights, all his title, his interest and ownership of that land to the buyer that has just bought the land. It is a transactional document drawn up by a real estate attorney between the current owner of the landed property and the new buyer. It shows the detail of transfer of ownership from the seller to the buyer. Now, after getting deed of assignment, it is very important to lodge it at the land register. That is when the transaction is deemed legal in the eye of the law. Now, the gazette. In Nigeria, A gazette is simply a government publication that records land details, especially excisions granted to communities. It specifies the area allocated to these communities, specific uses, and the condition of such land. It is an official record book where all the government details are spelled out and recorded. For the land buyer, gazette is very crucial because it verifies the legitimacy of that land and the transaction as well, showing you whether the land falls within the government acquired areas. Now, excision. Excision is a title document in Nigeria. It involves legally separating of a portion of land from the whole, and the exercise part is documented at the government gazette. It simply means cutting out a portion of land out of a larger portion. Without excision, the government can come up one day and reclaim a land without proper compensation. It is crucial for any land buyer to verify excision titles of the land before purchasing that land. This can be seen in the gazette. In summary, excision is legally separating a piece of land from government land, registering it in a gazette so that it becomes a free land to be sold. That way, the government cannot reclaim such land because it has been properly registered as a free land. Now, C of O, or certificate of occupancy. C of O simply means certificate of occupancy. It is a certificate obtained from the government to show ownership or legitimacy over a piece of land. It is a land document issued by the state government to officially lease any land under the state to a buyer for a period of 99 years. C of O can be registered once. The initial person to be granted the legal C of O is the only person whose name will be on that certificate of occupancy for life. What then will happen if you want to buy a property that already has C of O? You would be issued deed of assignment, transferring ownership from the first person that registered the C of O to you as the new buyer. Now, if you want to resell that property, maybe in the future, you will continue to give out deed of assignment down the line, while the original C of O is given down the line as well. Now, the governor's consent. What is the governor's consent? Governor's consent is having the state governor consent to the ownership transfer of land. If someone has a land that has C of O and you want to buy from him, after buying from him, he will hand over the original copy of the certificate of occupancy, still bearing his name on it. In the eye of the law, the seller is still the owner of that property. So, to transfer the right of ownership to you, you need to perfect the title by processing what is called the governor's consent. According to section 22 of the Land Use Act of 1978 as amended, it does state, it shall not be lawful for the holder of statutory right of occupancy granted by the governor to alienate his right of occupancy or any part thereof by assignment, mortgage, transfer or possession, sublease or otherwise, however, without the consent of the governor first had and obtained. It means that if you are buying property from a title that has a C of O, you need to get a governor's consent to back up your new ownership of that property. Once again, I am Tochukwoka for the key to your real estate investment in Nigeria and the site manager of Bros Global Housing Estate. My goal is to help you make safe, secure and profitable real estate investment here in Nigeria, especially in the southeast. So go ahead and connect with me on the number on your screen, 070-3902-3098. I hope to see you in my next